Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Be Well, Be Keto. And on today's show, we feature Emanuela Palmares, aka Keto Manu. And she is this adorable girl from Brazil who has lost a total of 50 pounds. Yes, can you believe it? And she has brought the keto lifestyle to her son, her mom, and her husband. That is fantastic. She is one up on me. Anyhow, let's go say hi to Emanuela.
Welcome to the Be Well, Be Keto podcast, where we showcase ordinary people who have achieved extraordinary results. Your host is the high energy girl, health coach, and personal trainer, Tracy Gluhite.
Create whole body wellness, a powerful new advancement in energy medicine. Increase your energy, empower your life. I am super excited to announce that I am now a bioenergetics practitioner. And many people are like, well, what is bioenergetics? So imagine that our body is controlled by our energy field, and these fields get distortions and blockages, which create physical and emotional symptoms. So how do we get energy blockages? From stress, toxins, EMFs, emotional traumas, physical scars, and physical traumas. All you need to do is decode the human body field to get to the root cause and restore your energy for life. For more information, head on over to the blog at highenergygirl.com/bioenergetics with an X. That's BIOENERGETIX, and heal your energy for life. Have you joined the Facebook group yet? I have a new Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and that is pretty much where I'm hanging out these days, and I would love to have you a part of the group. So head on over to High Energy Girls on Facebook. Hey, Emanuela, thank you so much for coming on the show today, girl.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this. It's my first keto-related podcast ever.
Oh, well, you know what? Don't worry, it won't be your last.
Oh, I receive it, sister.
So for the listeners that don't know you yet, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself?
So I am Emanuela, and I am the woman behind Keto Manu on Instagram, and I've been basically for the past year posting what I eat as I begin my journey in using keto, not as a diet, but really as a lifestyle in my life. And it's been amazing. I've gotten my family to join me, and I have a 6-year-old son who has autism. I have a husband who is amazing and is a big partner in my life and has also gotten great results from us changing our, outlook on food and nutrition. I have an amazing mom who's also my best friend and business partner in the non-keto world ventures that I have. And she's also derived great health benefits by changing this diet. And this is who I am.
I am so excited that you got your mom on it.
Yeah, so it all started with my mom. And, we're really close. We've gone through a lot of things in life together. She had cancer. I was there for her throughout the treatment. She was my maid of honor. That's how close we are. And she has battled chronic diseases her whole life. And my mom is adopted. So we've gone as far as trying to get DNA testing to figure out, what's coming down the pipeline, what could happen, because she never met her biological parents. And she has diabetes, she has heart issues, blood pressure, she's on Coumadin, she has blood clotting disorders, she had cancer. So she's always been going to the doctors. And finally last year, one of her doctors said, you really need to see a nutritionist. We have to try something with your diet because you are on a maximum dose of most of the drugs that you're on right now. So that's when we were recommended by a nutritionist to explore the keto diet because her diabetes was sort of out of control. Mm-hmm. And then I said, Mom, I'm not sure. This sounds very like esoteric. Like, I don't think this is going to work, And then the nutritionist said, hey, there's a really good documentary that came out. Maybe you should watch it and see, it's going to work. I'm like, all right. So then they told me about the magic pill and I watched it. And I'm a huge nerd and I love documentaries. Like I would watch, like a perfect day for me is watching like World War I docs all day.
Oh my gosh.
Like I would do Holocaust, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like I would just history, wars, people with like weird diseases. I would watch those things all day. And so I'm like, I'll watch this. And I loved it. And I was like, Mom, we're going to do this. And then my mom gave me like the biggest eye roll. And like, I am not cooking this food. She was like that lady on the magic pill that will look at her pantry. Was like, forget it, And then I said, well, let's make a deal. I love cooking. You've cooked for me all my life. So we're a very tight-knit family. We have a 3-family home and each one of us have an apartment in it.
Oh,
so
I love that.
It's so good. I'll tell you, it's actually like the secret sauce of our family. I really think so. I think that I'm constantly living in community and people have forgotten how important that is. But so I told her, Mom, I'll cook the food and you just have to eat it. I'm going to make it for my husband. I'm going to make it for me and I'll make it for you. I'll make 3 meals, each time. And you just have to eat it. Let's just try that for 15 days. And if you don't like it after 15 days, then we're done, So needless to say, here we are. She's still on keto. We're keto. And it's been an amazing journey for the 3 of us. They're on, actually 4 of us, if I count my 6-year-old son, who occasionally ketos, And it's funny because now we got Caillou. His name is Caillou. We got Caillou to a point where we'll show him like a regular cookie and like a keto cookie. And he goes, that one's not keto. This one is keto. And like, he can tell. So, and he would ask occasionally for a keto cookie instead of a regular chocolate chip cookie because he likes almond flour. So it's been great. It's been an amazing journey. And I'm very lucky that I get to share it with thousands of people on my account now who have been following what I'm doing. So I feel very fortunate.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And, you're such an inspiration. And starting with these young guys, that's cool. So do you make keto cookies regularly?
I do. So sugar addiction was my biggest problem. And I didn't really understand that until I started my keto detox. And I was the worst person in the world for 7 days. So I was horrible. I was irritated. I was not nice. And most people that meet me say, oh, she's pretty nice. I was not nice when I was coming off sugar. And I just really didn't realize all the other forms of sugar that I was intaking. I was like, I don't take a spoonful of, sugar and put it in my mouth. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so my taste buds were completely corrupted by it. Like I didn't taste anything but sweetness. And so those 7 days were really hard when I came off of it. And afterwards, I was just like, wow, like this fruit tastes really good without anything on it. Like tomatoes are really sweet. And I didn't realize that tomatoes were sweet before because I was taking my palate to such heights with the sugar, and the flavor of sweetness like I wasn't tasting food anymore. So that's what inspired me to find like different dishes. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to give up eating cheesecake. I don't want to give up eating like a cookie or a muffin and stuff like that because I like those things. So I would just go on Google and be like, keto muffin. And then like a bunch of search answers would come up. And then I'm like, I'm going to try this one. Oh, that one was not good. I'm going to try this one. So then as I would do it, because it's diet food, I was like, and I have a background in arts. So I'm like, I got to make this food look good. Because if I can't eat it with my eye, I'm not going to want it, eat it at all. So then what I ended up doing was, let me just work on the presentation. And then I took a picture of it, sent it to my husband. My husband's like, post that. That looks really good. I'm like, I'm not going to post that. He's like, yeah, post it. It looks really good. So that's really how I started posting my food on Instagram. It's all my husband's fault.
Well, I have to say that your Instagram, like, I don't even bother posting food because literally my food always looks horrible. I mean, like, always. I'm so bad at that. But I love seeing people who can make it look beautiful.
I'll tell you, what I do a lot is, number one, like my brown plates are from Dollar Tree. Like, I'm a huge dollar store fan. Like, I am thrifty, and I posted last week. I went on a trip with my family, and I had a matching swimsuit with my son, and someone asked me, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" I got it from Amazon, and it was $15. Like, I'm that kind of person.
Oh, girl, I can beat you on that. Walmart sells OP bikinis, and if you go at the end of the season, you can buy each piece. I think the lowest I've seen is I've gotten each piece for like $5.
Really? But I wanted to match my son. So, like, my son had like swim trunks that had like black coconut trees on them and with the white background, and I had the same bottoms for my bikini.
Oh, wow.
So
okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was like I am very OCD about matching. So she was like, "Oh, where'd you get it from?" And I'm like, "I got it from Amazon. Here's the link. It's $15." And she was utterly disappointed, and I feel so bad. But it's true. But I just started. I was like, I have to eat with my eyes. I'm a very visual person. I'm a visual learner, and so I started planning the food differently. My husband was like, "Oh, this tastes amazing and it looks great." And we just started posting, and we went from there. And, I love cooking. Cooking for me it's like, I used to do a lot of art, and I got hurt and I couldn't do it anymore. And it's become a way for me to be in touch with my artistic self daily. And it's become my therapy. And, I think cooking certain recipes in keto, what I think also it's very empowering for people, even if they feel they're not culinarily inclined, because I've never had any culinary training. I don't do this for a living. I run a newspaper, like I am not in the cooking, realm or culinary industry at all. Go ahead.
What kind of newspaper?
So my mother started here in our town in Danbury, Connecticut, a trilingual newspaper in English, Portuguese, and Spanish 20 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm the editor. So I speak Portuguese, Spanish, and obviously English. So that's my day job.
Oh, I love it. That's cool. My son is actually an editor of a magazine in New York.
Oh, awesome. It's publishing is a difficult industry to be in right now, with all the technology, especially those of us who are attached to print and all that it used to be and all that it can be still. But I believe that there's a retro movement towards people being so fatigued by all the technology and wanting to go back to manipulating things and flipping through pages. So we're trying to hold on for that shift and not let go, but we do. But we're an independent trilingual newspaper in Connecticut that's been around for 20 years, and we're the only one of our kind in the East Coast with the language combination that we have. So. Oh,
that's so fun. Good for you. So you're a busy girl. And you went to Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
I'm in the process. So I'm going through the modules right now. And I'm really excited. I really like the program. I've always felt that there's so many different things attached to our health other than I'm going to take this pill and I'm going to eat this food, and really looking at the being holistically and understanding that your relationships, your career, your spirituality, it's all interconnected in making you into a healthy being. So I'm really into that. I really like it. So I'm going through the program right now. And it was really more of a flow of things where as I started to gain more followers on Instagram, a lot of people would message me and ask me like, how can I get started? Can you help me? And I felt inadequate. I was like, you know what? Like, go through your journey. I'm going to figure it out how I can help more people understand how important it is for them to find what's right for them, because this is what's working for me. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized that I needed to, make a big shift in my life and invest in becoming holistic health coach and getting certified. And, it's a process where I'm going through it, but I'm excited. I've been at my business now, the business has been existing for 20 years. I've been the editor for 10. And so I've been in the same career for 10 years, and I feel like I need a shift, and this just feels right.
Oh, so, cool. You're going to love it. Yeah. I finished the program in 2011.
Awesome. How'd you like it?
I liked it a lot. It was very good. I actually got to meet Joshua. We had tea in San Francisco. And
nice.
Yeah, it was so cool because I got to sit like right next to him and just kind of soak in his energy.
Is he really goofy? Because sometimes in some of the lectures he comes across like being like a little bit of a goofball.
He's
like
very
a good way.
Stoic, but he's very, like he said to us, I mean, it was so long ago that I have a hard time remembering all of it. But I remember him liking to laugh, and then on the opposite flip side, be kind of stoic, where he was like very wise. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like soul zen, that you're like, ooh.
Yeah, like he said something to us at the table. There was probably about 15 of us. And he said, "Healer, heal thyself." And that stuck with me so deeply. Yeah, I came home and I painted it in my kitchen. It's like right above my kitchen window.
Yeah, like I feel like it's such a big lesson about what it truly means to be open, right? Because the program doesn't really subscribe to a specific diet or specific method. So it's very open. It's a very open space, which then becomes a little challenging, especially if you've come to this arena from a very specific diet standpoint, like my angle coming in from, the keto angle, right? But at the same time, there's a way to do that with love and balance because, in empowerment, because it is what's right for me. And it may not be right for the other person, but I am listening to my body, and my body likes this way that I am nurturing it right now. And my body feels loved, and I am in tune with it more than I ever been before. So, it's reassuring, and it's just a reminder. It's never about the other person. It's always about us, in a sense of our insecurities and the things that we know. So when someone comes up to me and goes, "Oh, but you're gonna die from high cholesterol and have a heart attack, and it's nothing but an upgraded Atkins diet, and so and so this week said it sucks," some big celebrity that we may not name names, trainer, said that it's impossible. I've been doing it as a lifestyle. I think that the biggest lesson that I've gotten from the keto diet is that I have a complete appreciation now for the natural state of foods, and nourishment. Mm-hmm. I have a complete understanding of balance when it comes to what my body needs in protein and healthy fats. I get a huge boost of energy from eating an avocado that I never imagined that I would get today, because my body looks at fats differently. And, I was 205 pounds when I gave birth to my son. And I then held on to 185 pounds up until he was 4 years old. So I had a really weird relationship with fat because I use that word to describe myself. I use that word to associate with negative body image. So the very last thing in the world that you think that I would say that would be good for me is fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I hated it in every form. And to now be on a diet that celebrates healthy, fats And to that be what broke the chain that was holding my body back, I think there's such a beautiful lesson in that of just like self-love, that it wasn't the fat.
So are you saying that the self-love came before you lost the weight or after?
It came in the process that I had to eat what I hated.
Okay.
To let go of it. Like I had to eat a lot of fatty things, healthy fatty things, to let go of the fat that I felt was dragging me down. I had to eat what I hated in myself to love myself,
So it was a journey.
Yeah, and I had to accept that and I had to own it. And I'd be like, no, it's just that it's the way that I'm looking at it that's wrong. That's why I'm holding on to it. It's not so much, so it was just a very interesting dichotomy to be in for me. I think that for us as women is extremely difficult to deal with body image issues today. I was born in Brazil. I'm very in touch with the Brazilian community here in Connecticut. My newspaper is geared toward the immigrant community. So I'm very in touch with my native culture, even though I'm an American citizen and I absolutely love this country. But I go to Brazil often. And if you think that female body image issues are an issue here, I mean, in Brazil, it's the second, it's the second highest rate of plastic surgery for women in the world. Brazil has elective C-sections that are actually scheduled with a hair appointment and nails, because everything's so about the look and how beautiful you are and how big, your assets are and what you do. So there's such a culture around the female body being perfect. And a lot of people, when they migrate, they just migrate their bodies, sometimes their minds stay back and their ways stay back home. So there's a lot of pressure, even in the Brazilian immigrant communities now here around aesthetics and, looks and things like that. So I see a lot of women struggle with that when they come into a country that has a completely different diet. They pack on the pounds. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand that their bodies are not used to this kind of a diet, the American diet, because they have a completely different DNA and imprint of their needs, just by geography alone. And, so it becomes a big issue. So for me, it was holding me down. I was really sick. I had, after I had Caillou, my heart enlarged. I had postpartum preeclampsia. I had a blood pressure problem. I had gestational diabetes. I labored for 36 hours. I pushed for 4. It was a very difficult delivery, a very difficult pregnancy. And my son was born with a lung illness. So he was very sick for the first 2.5 years of his life. And then he was diagnosed with autism also at 2.5. So it was difficult, and I focused on him getting well, and I didn't put my oxygen mask on. I only put his. And it was only until a certain point where I stopped breathing, and I started to not feel energy and feel really depressed and not feel good about myself because I was running out of oxygen. So it's difficult being a mom. It's difficult, seeing your body change, being so proud of your accomplishment and now putting this beautiful human being into the world. But at the same time, looking at yourself and be like, who is this in the mirror? Like, I can't even recognize it, But it was a long journey. But I celebrate every part of it because I really became a much stronger person by going through those challenges. I really have.
Wow, you, girl, you're a survivor, it sounds like. You've been through a lot.
Yeah. And it's okay. And and there are a lot of people out there that have gone through a lot worse. And we share stories because there are a lot of people that maybe are going through a lot less. And then we, as human beings, are able to gain perspective and get inspiration to just keep on fighting on, you know? So, I think that, you know, a lot of people come up to me and go like, how do you do it? Like, you're so busy, you know, like, how do you cook? How do you take care of your son? And you have a job. And, you know, I also volunteer in my community. I serve on my local board of education and, you know, and I'm involved in all these things. And I'm like, you know, you make time for what you value.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's well said, girl.
You know, and that's basically, you know, I value my family. I value community. I value my health now. So, I didn't before. So I understand that the time that I wake up extra early to prep my meals, to cook a good breakfast, because I was not really big into breakfast, and until I realized that how important it was for me to have a nice hearty breakfast with some good fats in there, and how much later I was having lunch, how I was snacking less in between meals because I had a good breakfast. So, you know, I put a lot of time into my morning to making sure I have a good breakfast. I, you know, usually prep a little lunch for me to pack and take with me to work. And then I always make sure I make dinner. And it's also a time for my husband and I to come together. You know, like, we love having dinner together. And it's so important in a relationship. And even when I have an event or something going on, you know, I make dinner as if we were going to eat together, and I make it just as nice. And then I text him and say, hey, babe, you know, it's ready for you. And he's so appreciative of it. And you have to continuously work on all of your connections with the things that you value the most. You know?
Yeah. I've been married almost 29 years, and I was just telling my husband the other day, because we're both so busy with our jobs and, you know, all the different things that we do to, like, separately. I'm like, we need to do more together.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, we get along great. We have a great relationship, but my love language is quality time.
Oh yeah, dude, me too. Me too. And like, so so with my son, Caillou, I eventually, after his diagnosis, his dad and I got divorced. And my husband is my second marriage. And, you know, he's just wonderful. And both of our lives came together because we both needed to go through our deserts, you know, to find our oasis, which was each other. But we met in, you know, I'm in politics, he's in politics. We met, you know, campaigning, and we have that very unique interest, you know, that's a common interest that kind of brought our lives together. But at the same time, it was just this alignment of the right person to balance me out. And, you know, on both ends, like, I also think I balance him out a lot. But we do a lot together. And we also do a lot of, like, regular things together, like grocery shopping and, you know, like daily things that, routine things that we respect those things just as much as we do going out on a date, you know, and just really try to see everything as quality time, whether it's like, you know, I'm cooking and he's doing dishes, or, you know, we're even sharing a chore around the house, to just really an opportunity to spend time together, you know, because we're both very busy. But you just gotta, it's what you value, you know, and I've learned in a very hard way early in life that you have to make time for the things that matter most for you.
Yeah.
You just have to, or else other things are going to take up that time, and your life's going to shift, and you're going to wonder, where did it go? Am I not happy and fulfilled? And it's going to take you longer to figure out why you've lost your way.
Yeah, that's good wisdom for me personally. I mean, seriously, because like that's what I was telling him just the other day. And then I started yoga teacher training. He's like, oh, great. You know, now you're all busy, because he's been in Taekwondo for 16 years. And, you know, that's like at least twice a week that he's busy, you know, in the evening. So
show up to one of his Taekwondo classes.
Oh,
You should
me?
surprise him. Yeah. Surprise him. Throw in a little, like, white uniform, like, hey, babe, let's do this.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to you. I feel like I'm digressing all over the place. Okay, so let's talk about, so I know you've lost, about 50 pounds-ish, somewhere around there?
Yeah. So, like, all together in the whole journey, yeah, but like with keto was 20,
Okay.
so it was a very, very drip, 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 talking like hundreds of dollars a month on personal trainers, bunch of yo-yo dieting, juicing, you name it, right? Until I found keto and literally shed everything I worked for. Like in 4 years, I shed like in three months. So I was just like, wow, this is really the right thing for my body. I responded really well to it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so when was that? It's been a while, right?
It was the beginning of last year, sort of, and yeah, it's been, I was at the time like size. So I started off that year size like 12, and now I'm like 4'6".
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other health benefits have you and your family, like I know you guys there's like four of you, but what health benefits have you noticed?
So I think the clarity of mind, I was like, what are they talking about? Like mind clarity. And like, my productivity at work has changed. I've always been very like, I like managing things. I like work. I like doing multiple projects. But, sometimes I would get lost in it, get irritated, be too overwhelmed by it, even though I'm taking all these things on. With keto, I feel like my brain is sharper. Like I wake up in the morning and it doesn't take like a good half hour for me to be like, oh, like the where's my coffee kind of like mode where I'm like, before I have my coffee, don't even talk to me. It's that's gone. Like I get up, my day starts. The other added benefit is the fact that it's really helped me with my polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's really helped me with some of the symptoms that comes with that, which is, the acne, the fatigue, the bloating. I've battled multiple ovarian cysts. I had surgery last year, in the beginning of last year, to remove a large cyst from my ovaries. So it's helped me a lot with that. My son is in the spectrum, and we have a modified, it's not strict keto with him, but we have introduced more fruits and vegetables for him that are within the keto diet. I have completely reduced the amount of processed sugar for the whole family. And Kai is very high functioning in the spectrum, but he's also very high sensory input. And I feel that there's a less of an edge on the ADHD after effects in the autism that we were experiencing right now after we've made some of these changes. My husband was, pre-diabetic, had different possible health issues going on, blood pressure medicines and things like that. And, he keeps going back to his physicals, and the doctor saying, just keep doing what you're doing. You look amazing. You do great. And ultimately, my mom, she went from 13 units of insulin a day to 10. So we removed 3 units.
Wow.
She was on Lipitor and Zetia as a booster because she was the highest dose of Lipitor, which is a drug for high cholesterol. Her doctor removed the Zetia. She no longer needs the booster. The Lipitor is just there as a safety measure because her cholesterol has never been better. We're looking now to reduce other meds on her list of meds. And my plan for 2019 for her is to knock off some of the blood pressure medicines that she has there. She's currently on average 12 to 13 drugs that she takes every day. So, we're seeing a lot of big change, but I think that the biggest benefit it's the re-education of our relationship with food.
Yeah.
That's the biggest benefit.
That's exactly how I feel, because I live on a farm. We have 80 fruit trees. I grew up in the 80s, so everything was fat-free this, fat-free that. And it was really hard for me to believe in keto. I mean, it took me months and months of reading books and understanding the science behind it to believe that this was the way I wanted to eat and maintain. You know what I mean? So I hear exactly what you're saying, because it was hard to think that I can eat, bacon or pork rinds, which I absolutely love. Things that I always thought, like I was an egg white girl. Like I would eat a cup of egg whites in the morning with salsa, no fat, So
no, I hear you. And so it's so counterintuitive that it made me curious, right? So then I was like, no, you gotta be joking. And then when you look at the science and when you realize, the function of some of our organs, what they're made to do, and also when you take a deep, honest look in the lobbying of the sugar industry and some other industries that are affected by all this, and how policy has affected our diets, and how the government says this is what you should eat, and then you're looking at who's actually asking the government to advocate for those certain foods to introduce to our diets, and what are the after effects that we're seeing for that. When you look a little bit behind the curtain and you understand that if you don't go out there and try to find information for yourself and try to find what works for you, you do a yo-yo diet forever. You're going to be chasing fad diets forever. But you need to go out there and empower yourself to connect with your own body and find what works for you. Right. I cannot stress that enough. And when people ask me, do you think I should do keto? I was like, I don't know. Do you think you should do keto? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, this is what I do. Do you think you could do that? And they're like, oh, I think I like that. I was like, then you should try it for a short period of time. You should check with your doctor first. Let them know you're going to go on a high healthy fat, moderate protein, low carb diet, and you're going to try to remove processed sugar, and say it that way. And then see what happens, because sometimes when you say, especially now, there's this whole keto movement coming up, right? Because someone said it's not good. Now everyone's trying to say it's good. And you see major corporations now trying to create keto products and stuff. And I always tell people to watch out for that, because I think that one of the most important benefits of the keto diet is the freshness and taking out processed foods. So I make my own jam if I want jam. I make my pancakes from scratch if I want pancakes. I'm not buying a keto pancake mix. There's something to be said about the integrity of the process of cooking your own food. And that's really why I think it works so much, because not only am I putting the right ingredients, I have the right intentions when I'm making the food.
Yeah, I'm coaching a group of women right now, and our focus is not on a diet per se for weight loss. It is on aging stronger. And one thing I taught them is to appreciate your food and sit and make a ritual of it instead of just wolfing it down mindlessly. Enjoying that you are blessed enough to go to the grocery store and be able to buy fresh food, or the farmer's market, even better, and take time to make a ritual and have gratitude that you can, have a nice meal on the table.
Yeah. And I think also it's the process of, it's that whole self-love thing, like my relationship with food before was like, it was either like punishment or reward. It was like, I had a really hard day, I'm going to eat cake. I had a really hard day, I'm gonna make fried chicken. And then it was like, I had a big lunch, so I'm not gonna eat dinner. Like, what I'm saying? So it's either like I would either withhold it or make certain things to nurture myself in a way, to comfort myself in a way. And I wasn't looking at it just straight for what it was. I am a system, and I need to input the right type of fuel for the system to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, my back hurts and I'm so tired and I'm dragging and I have these hot flashes and I'm just like 30 years old and I have all these things going on and my hormones are going crazy and, and I had all these issues and I just wasn't making the connection of just accepting the fact that my body is a very complex machine. And it's like, if you have a car that runs on gas, you can't put ethanol in it. Like you can't put, diesel in it. And I was just putting all sorts of different fuels, wanting my car to work the same way. So it's making that connection for me that made me kind of wake up and realize, wow, like I was putting so much emotional weight on my nutrition. And I didn't look at it objectively. And that's why I needed sprinkles and syrups and sauces and this and that, like all on top of it, because it wasn't just about nourishment. So once you kind of disassociate that and you look for what it's worth and what you put into your body, it's a lot easier, So there's always, I think that when it comes to our nutrition, self-care, there's always something else hiding in the iceberg. It's like, the nutrition may be just a tip, but underneath there's going to be other things that you're going to have to address in order for you to effectively make a behavioral change in your life that's going to lead to a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of soul searching that needs to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm totally agree with you. That's pretty much what my Instagram is just all motivation. Like, cause I need it, I'm a big quote person and just like kind of thinking about,
Me too.
I love it because I just wrote a journal for these girls I'm teaching. Or coaching. It's like 90 days, and I had to find 90 different quotes to put in that journal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When I run out of quotes, I'm just gonna message you, be like, "Hey, send me one."
They're all on my Instagram. They're all on my Instagram, so you can find them easy. That's what I did. I just went back to my Instagram, and I just like, "Ooh, that one sounds good." So, okay, so basically I was going to ask you a little bit more questions that are very practical. Like what does a typical day of your diet look like?
Oh my gosh, sure. So for instance, today for breakfast, I made 90-second keto biscuits. And then I fried some eggs, like sunny side up. Then I fired up some bacon. And then I put a nice slice of cheese on top of the egg. And then I made bacon, egg, and cheese keto sandwiches.
Okay, I need that recipe. That sounds amazing and something that my husband might eat.
Yeah, so the husband enjoyed it a lot. And then for lunch, I had some cottage cheese with, I had to stay in Mexico. I was just in Mexico with my family. And traveling is always like a nice challenge for me. I like challenges. So I like staying in ketosis while I'm traveling. So I looked at buffet lines. I'm like, what can I cook up? Like survival mode that's keto friendly in this setting, right? So then I found the cottage cheese and I found some unsweetened coconut flakes. And then I found some flax seeds because they had like this build your own yogurt thing. But I was like, I can't do yogurt. And coconut flakes, flax seeds, and cottage cheese together tastes amazing. Believe it or not.
Oh, I believe that. I love cottage cheese.
Oh my gosh, you add some coconut flakes to that and like some flax seeds and it just tastes like a coconut pudding kind of thing. It's just so good. So I had that for lunch and I also had some macadamia nuts. And then I picked up my son at school. So I work from 9 to 3 and then I pick up Caillou at school at 3:15. Grocery shopped with him, came home, stocked up the fridge, prepped dinner. Dinner tonight was chicken breasts stuffed with cream cheese and Peruvian pickled peppers. They're really delicious. They're little tiny pickled peppers. And then also what I do with the chicken, if I bake the chicken, especially if it's stuffed chicken, I use mayo instead of I egg wash for me to kind of, if I'm going to bread it in quotation marks. So you just kind of, I just use a brush and I brush some mayo on the outside. First, I pan sear it. So I slice the chicken. I make the pocket while it's raw. I stuff it with my favorite stuffing. I tie it up. And then I pan sear it. After I pan sear it, I brush mayonnaise on it and I throw in some Parmesan cheese. And then I bake that for 35 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
When you cut into that. And then I made a side of kale with mushrooms and garlic. And that was dinner. So when the husband got home, that was waiting for him. I'll have mine after we talk. Because I came to work meeting. But that's it. So like I make sure that I eat 3 meals a day that are fresh. I avoid eating out as much as I can. Nothing against the restaurant industry, but it's just, again, I want to make sure that, if I'm eating something that's fried, it's fried in coconut oil. I use avocado oil. Like I'm using the right fats for me to be able to enjoy those different types of foods. So I just really keep an eye on that. And I just use my frustration of the don'ts of the non-keto world to inspire me to look for recipes of things that I can make within the keto lifestyle, so it's always a win for me. Like I don't feel like, I really want to eat fried chicken tenders. I find a way to make them keto.
Well, you are totally making my mouth water.
You should try the sausage gravy biscuit breakfast, and that's on my blog. Like that one is a winner because I went to the Great Wolf Lodge with my son over for New Year's Eve and for the weekend, and they had like the most like carb infested buffet you could ever imagine for breakfast, right? And as soon as I got home on New Year's Day, I was like, I wanted sausage and gravy and I wanted biscuits and gravy and I couldn't have it. So then that's what I made. And it just felt so liberating. It was like, yeah, like you got nothing on me. I ate my biscuits and gravy, and it was a big thing for me that day, but I had it. And I didn't use flour, like I didn't have to use flour. I used cream cheese, heavy cream, chicken sausage, thyme, other herbs, and made this amazing gravy. And I made again the 90-second biscuit, in the microwave, throw that on top of it. I had my biscuits and gravy for breakfast, and that's it.
Wow. So you don't do intermittent fasting?
No, I don't do intermittent fasting, and I'm not like macro obsessed. So what I do is I keep my carbs low throughout the day. I make sure that I don't eat more than 30, 40,
total.
Yeah. But I'm not like there, like counting, like I've done Weight Watchers. I've done all these different programs. Right. And that was driving me insane. So I was like, I can't do that. So what I've done is, number one, change my relationship with sugar. I use monk fruit, I use stevia, and that's it. Taking all the processed sugar out. I hated water. I'm still not a big fan. I struggle, but I drink a lot more water than I ever drank water before in my life. Recently, I found a cool little trick because I can have lemons, I can have limes. I love lemon and lime. So what I do now, even if I'm in a restaurant, and this is a great cheat for a restaurant when you want to focus on where you're getting your carbs from, and you're at a restaurant, you're out, I ask for house tap water. I always have single stevia packages in my bag with me, always. I stock up, I put 3 or 4 in my bag, or I actually bought the it's sort of like a little dispenser. It's almost like a little salt shaker that you can buy with powdered stevia in it. Oh. So then I asked for water with lemon. And what I do a little dash of stevia in there. I ask for extra lemon. When the waiter comes around again, I put that in a glass. I use my knife or my fork nicely, and I kind of press it down a little bit, and I spit it around, and it tastes just like old-fashioned lemonade.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And I didn't have to order a seltzer. I didn't have to do this and that and try to pretend the bubbles are fun, like I want flavor. And you're just able to get by that way, and I've been enjoying a lot more ordering water with my meals when I do my little like stevia with lemon concoction. And I gave it to my husband. He's like, "Oh, that actually tastes really good." I was like, "Yeah, I know." So there's different ways you can do. The other thing too is don't be afraid of baking. Don't be afraid of baking with almond flour. Don't be afraid of making your own keto pizza and trying to make the fat dough with mozzarella cheese. If you follow some of these recipes, because there's so many regular ingredient substitutions, just look at it as a science project. Like, don't try to look at it as a chef when you first encounter it. Just look at it as a science project. Use the measurements to a T. Don't try to eyeball anything, just like, if it says a quarter teaspoon, use a quarter teaspoon. Make sure that's just a quarter teaspoon. And you'd be surprised at how successful you'll be.
Yeah, that is really smart advice. And I am notorious for not following directions exactly, and then they never turn out right. So that's good advice. To just do a quarter teaspoon when it says. And so do me a favor and send me over some of those favorite recipes, because literally like my mouth is watering, and you don't have to do it tonight, of course, but that way the listeners can check them out on the show notes page.
Absolutely. And some of them already have posted on my blog. Perfect. But I'll send them over to you. And I'll love to also get, tag me if you make any, and so I can see what it, how it turned out. And also, people can absolutely send me direct messages and ask me questions as they're in their kitchen going like, "Oh, I don't know what happened to this," so yeah, they can absolutely contact me.
We can just do links straight over to your blog. So for that, like, why don't you let us know where we can find you?
Sure. So my blog is ketomanu.com. And there you're going to find some recipes that are original, some that are really, I refer to my blog as a keto test kitchen and a recipe library, because, some are blogs that I love that I'm just testing out the recipes. And then I may, on the bottom of the link, I may have a tip or substitution and tell you a challenge that I encountered while I was trying to make that recipe, or tell you a modification that I made in order to make it better for me. That people can try. One of my most famous ones is the keto cheesecake with strawberry compote on top of it. It's to die for. It was a big hit at my family Thanksgiving, and most people didn't even know it was keto, and they ate it up. And then on my Instagram, I am daily posting what I eat. So whatever you see there, it's literally what we're eating that day. And I look forward to continuing to sharing that journey with other people, and hopefully in the future working with people one-on-one to help them find what's right for them. And if it's keto, that's great. And if it's not, as long as you're going to be living a healthier, happier life, we're all going to be winners for it. So
yeah, that's true. And not everything, there's no one size fits all in this world. And not even a hat, right? Maybe a scarf.
No. 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 And there's that other thing, that they say that everyone has a different kind of. So, like it's all about celebrating who we are as individuals, right. And owning that and understanding that. And I think that my immigrant experience has a lot to do with feeling comfortable with that, because we were outsiders. When we arrived here, I didn't speak a word of English when I got here with my parents. We had nothing. So we've always kind of had to feel uncomfortable and kind of, like, do we belong here? Is this who we are? So doing something different doesn't scare me. But for most people, they didn't have to experience that at a very early age. So it's scary. It's scary to go out there and do something that's different, that's counter intuitive or countercultural even. But, in the end of the day, if it is what works for you, you have to value what works for you and take that big, deep breath and just go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's absolutely true. I agree with that. And there's so many options out there, and people just need to be really intuitive. And I feel like that's something that people are missing. They need to listen to their selves and their wisdom. And then that way, once you're in tune with your body and what feels good and what doesn't, instead of just accepting what it is, I think people can make a big shift.
Absolutely. And, you've been a coach and you are very experienced in the field. And you know that in the end of the day, it's not your health coach, it's not your doctor, is you being guided to find yourself. It's what really gets you to be healthier.
Yeah.
It's all within us, all the answers that we're looking for, but we're so preconditioned to look for someone to deliver that from the outside because we're so uncomfortable on the inside. Oh. So I am learning to be comfortable in my inside. Okay. And that has been the most empowering action that has really been able to fuel this lifestyle change, is that when you're comfortable with your inside, the outside really doesn't matter, and your health's going to come from within, and more people need to be able to be empowered to find that. And that's why I am so excited to join the ranks of people like yourself to help people find that way.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you're doing a great job, girl. I see all your followers. I know what's going on. So I'm really happy for you, and keep up the awesome message and the work that you're helping people with.
Will do. And you the same. I love your name, High Energy Girl.
Yeah, that's a long story how that name came about. People were asking me, I was doing this marketing class to try to develop a brand, and they said, okay, go and ask a bunch of people what their experience of you is, if they were to define you, and everybody said high energy. And
that's it.
And then here's the funny thing. I had my B12 tested just in a routine blood test, and it came out really high. And I was telling my mom, because she's like, oh, how'd your blood test go? And I said, oh, my B12 is high. That's the only thing that was kind of off. And she goes, oh, I take that for energy. And we were cracking up.
See, you're so in tune with yourself that your branding is a reflection of your blood test. No, that's baller.
That's silly. But yeah, that just was an accident. So it just was kind of really funny. We were cracking up. So anyways, hey, listen, it was so good to have you on the show, Emanuela. You're a doll, and I love your energy, and I'm just happy that you're out there inspiring people and changing lives. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, for this opportunity, and I will send you recipes, and
Yay.
Thank you for letting people know about the lifestyle and being inspired by it.
Well, I will talk to you soon, my dear. Thank you so much for listening to our cute little Brazilian girl today. I hope that she inspired you to continue your keto journey. If you love this show, please share it with your friends. And always, we ask that you head on over to iTunes to give us a rating and review so that more people can find the great show. And if you are a girl, please join our Facebook group, High Energy Girls. Thanks so much, and make it a great day, everyone. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion, and I could be wrong.